Oh, hi all. Well, this is... I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Japanese name for it either. Just know if you're a fan of the old... It's basically Macross for the PS2. Let's see. And no, I have not started anything yet. I just got text to master to get to the actual story choice. Because when the game clearly gives you a spot that you can actually start from easily enough, it's just a solid thing on that one. Okay, so I guess I'll give a countdown on that one. Mind you, timing for this is done in-game time, but anyway, I guess I'll, whenever you guys ready, I'll give a countdown. So 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, so welcome to Macross for the PS2. We'll be doing the ARMD story route today, which is basically based off of one of the movies, I forget which. Just sit back, relax, have fun. You're gonna enjoy some of the stuff in this run. Basically, giant transforming mechs, yada yada yada. If you're familiar with Robotech, this is one of the shows that it was based off of. It's a combination of fighter, giant, things like this one. So essentially, you'll just get to see that one. Long story short, aliens invade the world, yada yada yada. World peace is established after humanity finds out, yes, aliens exist. It's, the original show started in the 80s. Macross in and of itself was actually a huge influence on a lot of different shows. In fact, the transforming mech stuff, helped lead towards stuff in Gundam later on, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so we're just flying around waiting for Roy here. I won't say just shut up, but it's the whole fact of just we gotta wait for the enemies to show up. This is supposed to be the harder of the two storylines. Shorter but harder. Hint, it's not as hard as it seems. Anyway, we gotta wait for that one. Enemies showing up. Fly towards them. Start abusing the fact that the developers gave us the ability to fly backwards in our one thing that, we can fire missiles in. So, yeah. Because the ability to just sit there and fire a lot of missiles at things is useful. You see me flying backwards here, launching a lot of missiles, dodging enemy attacks. Here and there, turning into my fighter so I can get a little closer on that one. If you notice the bottom of the screen, that's where I've got, all my missiles at. Since the, it has a lot of unique tech to it. See me constantly transforming here and there. Screwed up early game, but hey. Get to have some fun, and now that we've gotten rid of all the enemies for now. By the way, the main character we're playing as is a person named Eddie, if I'm recalling correctly. The girl that was just on the screen, I forget her name, but she's the character you play as for one of the other missions. And I'll openly admit that the fighter combat and a lot of other stuff is cool with this. And you'll get to see some very interesting tech with this. But for starters, this system's really no difference in difficulty. And prevent you all from motion sickness, I've got the flight style on easy because, well, with normal, it's like if you ever played a game where you could just move stick left and right and just straight off the back just get a full spiral of movement. Wanna target these battle pods because we gotta actually just save, the city, Macross. Macross here. see me boost here and there. Control my actual ability to, my actual boost gauge on that one out the bottom of the screen. Dodge some missiles quick. Boost backwards. Use Battloid to the fact of being able to legitimately target them. Yeah, because the developers decided to make it so that way the only way you can truly oops. Got to switch back to my normal missiles, but it doesn't really matter. Just gotta take these out as fast as possible. That there. Dodge some of the enemy fire. Again, the simple fact that Guardian mode here is kind of broken, because being able to use our Valkyrie here as an actual missile platform, which the developers gave you the ability to do it. Gotta get rid of these officers pod, well, these harder enemies here. As I said, you'll notice me using Battloid, the giant robot part, whenever I need to actually take out enemies on the ground, because, well, unlike some of the other games that I speedrun, like Robotech, where we can't really do some stuff, we can't do the other things, that's the end of Mission 1. Yeah, not the best, not the worst. We got our first upgrade, and oddly enough, one of the actual pieces of tech in this run is to not use a memory card. Just because, honestly, in order to match through text, you want to just avoid the chance of accidentally saving, as the save times take a bit. Anyway, we're on the second mission where we defended the SDF-1 while it's, was on the ground. It executed a hyperspace fold. Also, the English name to this game is Super Dimensional Fortress Macross. Super Dimension Fortress Macross. Anyway, we just have to defend the SDF-1 from waves of enemies. So, yeah, Guardian mode, because we can just sit here and just target, fly backwards a bit. And I might add, the controls for this game, the devs tried to make it a little closer to Ace Combat than, actually taking advantage of the transformations. So they put the transformation buttons on, R2 and L2, and then also assigned different things you can do with them, when you're in that really, the giant mech form and the fighter mode, meaning that it just gets to be a bit annoying. And they really don't encourage you to actually use fighter as much because, well, they gave you the ability to actually fire in fire missiles in both Guardian and Fighter. So because Guardian can stand still, it's just useful. Right now I'm just using my light missiles and reorienting myself on that one. And to give you a tiny taste of why we're using the easy flight mode, this can be done anytime you're actually in fighter mode, and it's 10 times faster. I don't think you guys want to possibly get motion sickness. Although the developers were kind enough to let you switch between the two at any time, and yeah. So we just gotta protect the Macross until it transforms into a giant robot itself. So we just gotta do that one. Yeah. Yeah, it's like you'll see every now and then that I have to do it, but that's sort of why I just use easy on that one. Sadly enough, although I can actually pilot well enough in the mode, I kinda like to, be kind to my viewers. So we're just, this is essentially an auto-scroller. So not even essentially, it is an auto-scroller. Probably am not going to get the best grades for that one, but I'm a tiny bit out of practice. But this is the type of run where if you know what to do, you can be a little out of practice and still complete it in a very good time. Anyway, so Eddie here is just defending the ship. If you're a fan of anime, I highly recommend checking out the original show, Super Dimension Fortress Macross. And if you can find a way to watch the other series in the franchise in the U.S. Or your country, you know, or wherever you're from, go ahead, check them out. They're pretty good. Anime with giant robots, transforming robots. Oh, I forgot to say what the name of the tech of what they're called. They're known as Valkyries in this one. And the person telling us what to do right now with the brown hair, his name is Lisa. It's like transformation's almost ready. So we just gotta keep, you know, the ship alive. Again, we're not really doing much here, just, you know, keeping it alive. Don't really have to go in to do that much fighting here. Because, well, as long as we take out the enemies, we're usually pretty good. You see me firing like 2 guns in when I'm in Battleoid. That's because it gave us the ability to shoot down enemy missiles, but it doesn't really help out as much, you know, with dodging. So being able to just use that to get secondary targets, you know, and deal more damage is what we want to do with that one, and that's mission 2 done. Tells us we've unlocked the 1J card, essentially the stuff for the free mode. You know, I just tend to like to use New Game for my runs just because it gives me a free way to actually just get my get my actual times for you know, in-game, because, well, no other score on that one. You know, on that one, you know, basically just all that stuff. So this mission's a little interesting. We can use all of our missiles as we want, because honestly, after a certain amount of time, we'll just be going into the ship, defend stuff inside, so gotta keep an eye on the radar, see when enemies next appear, fly backwards, go on some stuff, dodge a bit. Just the fact of that I can, you know, fire a bit on that one. This is one of the first times you'll actually see me use fighter to its actual full extent. Use some missiles like here and there. Fire guns. Maintain some health. Now, because honestly I need to, you know, I can't really use the missiles inside the ship. It's just smart enough to use them strategically. Again, transform a bit here and there. Do a bit of dodging. A bit of transforming. Another drawback to this one is that if you do get hit, you do actually feel it, as far as just like it, you know, reorienting you. You're gonna probably not get the best score because of the whole fact of just missing out on some of the stuff, you know, target-wise, because it grades you on how you're doing and other stuff like that. But we've gotten through all of that easily enough. So it's telling us, you know, more enemies are approaching. Now they're inside, so we gotta go inside on that one. sadly, we cannot use the actual missiles inside. So you see me actually use the fact that I can hold both buttons to fire at both, to get the double rate of fire. And the fact that basically the fact that the guns do have, the actual secondary gun does not have any the limitations on how long it takes, on how much you can fire. It really does help out, making it useful, so you can take care of enemies faster. That one. And even if I could use missiles in here, it is hard as anything to use missiles in this game when you're in battle, when you're in when you're inside on that one. That one. That there. There's one right on me. And we're done. Mission 3. So just get to sit back, relax, and go from that one. Sorry about that, had to do one thing on that one. Now we just gotta fly to these 4 locations and take out some enemies, because unexpected readings, gotta go check them out. That one. So what we're gonna do is some interesting tech, because we're limited on missiles here. So we're gonna fly away, turn, and then use the fact that the explosions actually do matter. And the fact that although we can't fire in any other version, in any other mode but Guardian and Battleoid, we're going to use missiles sparingly here. Use the fact that the explosive radius actually does affect things that we can take the enemy out. So it's useful on that one, and that we gotta get the stuff on that one. So we'll go fly really fast with that one, more enemies will appear. We're going to use the same tactic. Use that one there, because there's... Want to take out these. The reason why we're saving our missiles is because there is a semi-boss at the end of this stage, so since we don't get any more stuff, then we're going to have to just hold on to that one. It will boost again towards the next target, avoiding those meteors, well, asteroids as you state. Try not to get hit. Anyway, a few acrobatic fun things for y'all. Nothing that bad. So we're flying. Hopefully you're all enjoying the marathon so far. Hopefully you're all enjoying it. Anyway, said we just got to get to this target here once we're there. We get to do some cool things on that one, so we're just waiting till the next piece shows up. Once we see that, we'll fly towards there. Yep. There it is. Got a little turned around, but nothing that bad. So having 15 missiles left should help at least deal some damage towards the enemy giant cyclone that's coming up. That's the type of ship that we gotta fight here.
どうやらその機は ECM を搭載しているみたいね。それを排除しない限り敵艦の位置を捕捉することはできません。相手はエリート以上の探索能力と大量のミサイル兵器を所持している可能性があります。注意して。
Not good.
ミサイル接近。機体ダメージ 50% を超えました。ミサイル全部ゼロ。
Want to dodge some of the fire. Guns, try not to lag the game out. Burst fire on that one. Load some of their missiles. Going close. Keeping a circular, motion on that one. Constantly having it locked onto them. Keep avoiding their stuff. Use the fact that, yes, every now and then it does lag to our advantage. And there we go. So we're done this one. We've checked all the readings. We've had some, we've taken out, the enemies on that one. Next, we get to go inside an enemy ship. Find one that's derelict, and we get to check it out. So, not that far, not that bad. Now we get to see one of the biggest flaws with the game, and that is how it handles the moving stuff inside while having to be in Battleoid. It's not the best. Unlike a lot of other stuff, we're in super mode. So increased speed and all that stuff. You'll see me try to switch between both Battleoid and Guardian here, so that way I can maintain, top speed. Well, Battleoid, Guardian, and Fighter. Just because, honestly, Fighter's got, increased speed. And since there's no real way to control the camera... Well, wait. Let me face that. There is a way. It's not good. See? The game devs decided to be... Hey, let's have some crazy stuff within that. It won't matter that much. Turns out that, there's stuff on that one. So we've got, we've made it to the bridge. They are saying, there's some readings on, within the ship. So it turns out it wasn't derelict. And sadly, some of these cutscenes, like in-game, are not skippable. Anyway, we gotta get out of here. Dodging here and there. We gotta clear out enemies in these chambers now. Get out. Although I can use missiles here, it is not worth it. Got them all. Do that there. Turning. Crap, I did get turned around. Take that up there. Keep targeting. Cover a little bit. use the fact of that one to our advantage, because there's a few chambers like that, and hitting any wall in here does actually cause us to turn back, except for in Guardian mode. Another room of enemies coming up. Want to dodge that, trying not to get stuck on things. This is like the one chamber where I would consider using missiles, but because it's easier to dodge and just keep up the rate of fire, it's still somewhat faster than trying to actually lock onto an enemy and just constantly changing our targets. Sadly, it won't, you know, the way the lock-ons work, it's just complicated. I believe this being the last chamber. Don't really care that's about health there. When the enemies get behind you, but do it again. Do that there, line ourselves up so we can actually just try to speed through that one. I could be using Guardian for a lot of this, but hey, speed. And Fighter has fast speed on that one. And we're out. So we've done, you know, so we've checked out the actual alien ship. We've got through all that one. Essentially, since the SDF-1, you know, flew out, you know, did a hyperspace fold, they've landed in around Jupiter, so they're trying to get back to Earth on that one. And so we're now on Mars. Get it back to Mars, you know, we're stopping for a resupply on base there. If I'm recalling correctly, so we'll go for all that stuff, so... We'll go from there. This being a Japanese exclusive game on that one. It's complicated as to why on that one. So we'll want to use the fire again. Because although we have access to missiles in Battleoid mode, it is not worth trying to do that one. Because of the amount of, because of the having to deal with gravity on that one, and with the maneuverability of enemies, it's just faster to be able to target them. Although this is one of the, for example, obviously we don't really have Guardian mode on that one, so having to constantly move around, having to actually just take out the enemies where we can on that one, because having to literally hover here and there. Reorient ourselves to the nearest enemy group. If you're asking yourself, Mage, why aren't you using heavy missiles in this one? That's because one of the upcoming groups of enemies is very strong armored-wise, so we're going to want those to be able to later on actually take them out. And again, we're using our boost sparingly so we can keep ourselves in midair. Because it helps in that one. If you played a game similar to this as a kid, you're probably thinking of Robotech Battle Cry, which I have to admit, I also run that game. It is a very fun game to run, and because honestly, you still have control here, you know, while waiting for stuff. It is possible to still fire at enemies, as well as switch missiles around, so we're gonna select they do that since more enemies are coming, especially the harder ones. Forgot to ask that sooner. Forgot there was a small cutscene there, but yeah, so. Going to legitimately target them. Use the fact of, as I said, we're going to use our heavy missiles here to help take out these enemies faster. This is one of the reasons why I saved them. So we can actually use them with these because they are very, as you're seeing, I'm barely damaging them. And because I need to make sure that I take them out because they're going to be annoying. I can deal a heavy amount of damage to the Macross. It's faster to just do that. Hover slightly. Switch weapons when I can. Use missiles, you know, liberally. Switch them again. Fire some missiles here. This is one of the times where you won't see me use lock-on as much. Because the enemies will fly out of the area that you can be in. I've got to actually protect, I've got to pick my spots on that one. Come on now. So we'll go like that, there, taking care of that one. Turn a bit. Fire on that one. Fire on that one. Use the fact that now that I am out of heavy missiles, that it will automatically switch to the next type of missile. So, you know, it saves a tiny bit of time for the switching so I can continue to fire at them. Use these here. Fire again. Missile volleys. Although, fun fact, I do have to turn off the auto camera. Also, see how the different modes are? Yeah, you won't really see me use them. Because, honestly, you really don't need them if you're very good. Why the devs gave us that, I do not know. So again, we'll just fire missiles at them. Sort of protect the ship. And we've saved the ship, so that's mission 6 done. As I said, it's not that hard of a run. It's, you know, pretty fun too. Hopefully you're all enjoying it, and hopefully you all can hear me. Anyway, we've saved the ship. It's got back from Earth. Ooh, nice. S rank. We now unlock the 1S. 1S is one of my favorite Valkyries. It's super fast, it's super good, and it's just phenomenal. We've gotten back to Earth. We've gotten back to Earth finally. We've got to defend the ship. This is another stage example of where I can just use the fact that I can target a lot of the enemies, you know, while flying backwards to just keep up the pressure on them. Multiple targets, fly backwards. Again, the devs gave you a lot of maneuverability options. But they also gave us the ability to do this. And when you're trying to play fast and trying to actually get a good score, having that ability is, well, kind of stupid when you could just do that one. Flying backwards is always good, because it not only allows us to avoid enemy fire, but it also allows us to just rain in missiles at enemies, because as you can see, they really aren't dodging as much. So, you know, if the devs are going to do that one, the devs are going to do that one. I forget who her name is, but this is one of our first major, our first actual boss. This stage has 2 bosses in it. Notice I said 2. We gotta save our missiles and use them sparingly. Change back. Dodge a bit. Launch as many as we can. Dodge a bit more here and there. Do a bit of damage. It's the fact of the one thing being able to shoot down missiles, since we were strafing around her, to be able to dodge. We're going to need to keep as many missiles as we can while keeping up our health. As I said, there is 2 bosses on this stage, so being able to actually keep our health up for the second one is important. And we got her. So now we just gotta kick back, relax, and just wait for the next group of enemies that show up. Enemy carriers show up. So we just gotta kick back, relax, and wait for them to show up. Now we just have to actually just get rid of the enemies that are preventing us from getting to them. Notice that we got a health refill. That health refill is not guaranteed to be full. It's based off of how much damage you have taken, so that's why needing to actually make sure to preserve our health. Fly a bit forward, boosting, so we can actually lock onto them. Fly backwards a bit. Do a bit of strafing, use our missiles again. And now we're on to the, now we just gotta get ready for the boss. That one, we gotta take out this enemy ship. Yes, it has an exhaust port, and yes, I'm pretty sure that's a reference to Star Wars. So we want to fly up here. Fly up here a bit more. Use the ability that we can hover. You know, hover a bit ahead of it. You know. This is when we want to actually start using our missiles conservatively. Switching back and forth between them. Hovering a bit on that one so we can just stay above them. so we can keep hitting them on that one, switching back and forth between missiles. And we're going to want to keep dodging, keep our rate of fire up. Make sure we strafe here and there, so that way we can avoid some of the missiles. And we got them. So all we have to do is just wait now, and we're done all of that. So now that we've got this done, all we have to do is wait that one, and we're on the last mission. So we'll get to have some fun on that one. And now we get access to the 1S Strike, a very special model for a very special adaptation of the 1S. Want to fly a bit closer. Do some dodging. We gotta take out some of the enemies here. Oddly enough, we cannot use our secondary types of missiles, as the game will not let us. So what we're doing right now is just dodging, using our regular missiles to get some of the enemies, out of here. However, what I'm using now is something very, very, very useful and exclusive to the Strike. And that's this thing. We want to conserve our shots with it, as we are limited on that one, and the next set of enemies that we have to deal with take at least 1 to 2 for them. However, nicely enough, we can use that in Battleoid mode, so it is useful for taking out some of the enemies. Don't aim for the fighters, mates. Remember. Again, want to actually take out some of the fighters so that way we can avoid some damage. Because maintaining some of the fighters actually is useful. And again, because we need to maintain they just want to dodge every bit of fire we do give them. Take out these because we're going to need to. And there should only be one left. Yep. And now we're on to part 2. So we just gotta wait here and there. So just get the kickback, relax. Now, the Zentradi, the aliens, I haven't really explained as much on that one. They, warlike exclusively, and music and a lot of other things actually help stop them from being warlike. This is when we finally get to use those missiles I said we couldn't use earlier. So we get to use them finally. So you'll get to see me actually use them. This is one of the only missions we can actually use them. So you get to see me use them. And you see why the game won't let us use them as much. They're good. They're really good. We have to take out a certain amount of enemies before the next enemy ship shows up. Yes, our own missiles can hurt us. Yes, you get to hear some good anime music within this one. So we get to take these out. A fun fact, if we run out of these, we do immediately lose. Come on, game, let me dodge. Do that there. Also, fun fact, since some of the things can't be used in different modes, it's sometimes faster to actually switch modes. To switch between stuff. So we've got to dodge some more. Use those again. Try to dodge some. Basically take out some of the enemies. Fire that there. As I said, we need to take out a certain number of enemies before the boss shows up. Remember, this is only part 2. There's a few parts to this mission. So we just need to fly towards that. Here, this is the boss, well, the first boss in this one. We'll fly towards it. You know, hold in the missile button so as soon as we can target it, we will. Takes 2 of those to get rid of it. So did I manage to get both off on that one? No more purple. Yep, got rid of it. Okay. Now we just got to get rid of the remaining enemies on that one. So I'll be flying away and trying to get them in clumps. Wants those to get rid of a large amount of them. Because now we just got to get rid of, you know, what's remaining. It's out a little bit here and there, so get rid of most of those remaining ones. Do that there. Just gotta do that. Fly around a bit. Target the last one. And now that we've gotten rid of the giant enemy fleet, we've got to just sit back, relax, see this cutscene, because there's no real way to avoid it. And you see that we bombarded the SDF-1. You know, it's surviving. Get to see, you know, the actual music helping to affect the enemies, you know, showing them that there is other stuff besides the warlike nature of them. However, not all of them like that. So one of their leaders is in one of the ships is continuing the attack. So Eddie, who's been promoted to his own squad leader in Alpha, I believe it's Apollo squad. We've got to go in and take care of it. So essentially, from what I've gathered, it's more of a, yeah, I'll go in, take it out type moment. And we're going that part, so this will be fun. Oh, this will be fun. Essentially, let's go global there, captain ships, like launching a massive bombardment, making an opening for us to get in there. He's saying, I'll take care of it. Forget what her name is, like, what I think, Lisa here is basically saying, target's this close. I forget what her name is, I guess it gets, because of the tone of voice, this is to I love you, come back, something like that, I think. Anyway. Burst in there. Firing missiles on that one. Breaking in. And we get to fight final boss while he's annoyed at music on that one. First thing we need to do, since we start in Battleoid, is immediately switch over to Arcana. So buffer just pressing. Select on that one to immediately switch over. So there's like only a handful of these things that we got to get rid of to get to make the boss vulnerable. So we want to do that there. Waste all these. Use some of the effects of dodging. Circle strafe here and there. So we can avoid the enemy fire. Try not to die. Luckily, we get a checkpoint just before the boss here. Want some full volleys. Got shot down. Don't worry. That's why I said we get to have a checkpoint just before the boss, so it is possible to retry. We're going to use our lasers, our leftover lasers, to just dodge some. Fire our missiles strafe on that one. Bit of dodging here and there. A bit more strafing. Doing some full volleys. Now time is coming up with the last hit of when the boss dies, so just and time. And that's Macross for the PS2. Now, we will have to sit through the credits because in-game time, if they'll allow me on that one,